عليكم ورحمة الله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهديه الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, the first thing that we have to mention and remind each other about, and something that we should be constantly talking about in these special days that we are in, reminding ourselves that these are the greatest days of the whole year. They are unlike any other days. And to make that real for you, if you were to pray 2 rak'ah in Ramadan, or give £1 in charity in the day of Ramadan, or you were to be kind to your parents, or you were to be kind to the poor or anyone else who is in need, and that was in Ramadan, where the scholars, some of them say that any deed done in that time is like an obligation done outside of that time. If you did that same deed now, it would have greater weight with Allah. Because this is, the Prophet ﷺ is telling us, Ma min ayyam, there are no days whatsoever, al-amal as-salihu fihin, in which righteous actions done in them ahabbu ila Allah, where they are more beloved to Allah than done in these days. We need to take that very, very seriously. For you brothers and sisters who walked through the Masjid today to attend the Jum'ah, you received the glad tidings from the Prophet ﷺ. He said the one who comes early for Jum'ah, okay, has his bath, has his shower, comes early, sits close to the Imam, the Minbar, every step you take, and the hadith is authentic in Abu Dawud and others, every step, just think, every step, you get the reward for a whole year's righteous actions. Siyamaha wa qiyamaha, the whole fasting for that year, for each step, and the fasting of that whole year, and praying qiyam for that whole year. Such an action that should never be missed. So if you weren't able to do that today, remember, because next week, Jum'ah is Yom Arafah. The climax of these 10 days, or Yom al-Nahr is the climax, from the two opinions of the scholars. Either the day of Arafah is the greatest of these 10 days, or it is the day of Eid, the greatest. So make sure you remember if you didn't catch that reward today. And remember to utilize these days for reward. Lay off other things, like we prioritize in Ramadan. Many people neglect this fact during these blessed days. We're not aware of it, we don't take it seriously. And we miss out on so much reward. This time is better than the days of Ramadan. The day starts at Fajr, and the day ends at Maghrib. In Ramadan we were fasting during the day, and we were focused on exerting ourselves during the nights. In these days we need to be focused from Fajr until Maghrib. Exert yourself in righteous actions. And what are righteous actions? Yes, the Prophet ﷺ specified in these days, فَأَكْثِرُوا فِيهِنْ. He said, increase in them the statements, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Alhamdulillah. As we have the takbirat, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Walillahi alhamd. Say it as much as you can. We have the companions like Abu Hurairah, Abdullah ibn Umar, radiyallahu ta'ala anhum, who used to go out in the streets and the marketplaces, and they would raise their voice saying it so people could hear them and be reminded to say this, until the whole place would be sounding and echoing with those takbirat. At the moment we're not saying them after each salah, but it's open for you to say it, and you should increase in that specifically. Then all the other good deeds you can possibly imagine. And don't just think good deeds are limited to the ritual acts of worship, like statements of dhikr, like reading the Quran, like fasting, like giving charity. It's not restricted to this. Remember that our Islam is comprehensive. It covers every single aspect of life. And the Prophet ﷺ, he told us that if he was to walk with his brother to fulfill a single need of that brother, that would be more beloved to him than to make i'tikaf in his masjid for a whole month. Don't miss the opportunity. Don't miss the opportunity of visiting family to rekindle those ties. And especially from the highest grades of this is service to our parents. Service to our parents. If we reflect on our own lives, how much we have neglected this massive deed. This massive deed. Bringing a smile to your parents' faces. Serving them, being there for them. And you only realize when it's too late, when they're gone. That avenue to Jannah is closed for you. Now this had to be mentioned, but is not actually the target of my khutbah today. But it's only fitting that we start with this. One of the good deeds that we need to focus on, which is the crux of what I want to talk about today. One of the good deeds that we need to focus on stems from this point. You know, Islam is not a theoretical religion. Islam is a complete, real way of life. Allah is the one who said very clearly, قل إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين لا شريك له وبذلك أمرت وأنا أول المسلمين. Say, my prayer, my sacrifice, my life and my death, a complete system and way of life, real, no theory only, not something get up in the clouds. No, a practical system of living. And what kind of system? A system that brings humanity from the depths of the abyss that we see humanity in now, and raises them to ranks which can be higher than the angels. You know why Allah said, كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتِ النَّاسِ? That you are the greatest people to be ever raised from mankind. تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ. You know why Allah said this? You enjoy the good and you forbid the evil, you believe in Allah. We as Muslims are meant to be the standard. The standard for who? The standard for the rest of humanity. That's what Islam does for us. And does for the whole of humanity. Islam, the Muslims are meant to be the moral standard for humanity. When we do this, we will see what happened in the beginning of Islam and repeated itself. We will see the greatest civilization that the world, that humanity rather, has ever known. Because nothing can do this except the most perfect way of life, which is Islam. It did it 600 years plus. Then it went down for 50 years. Then it came up for another 650 odd years. This is what it does. We are meant to be the moral compass for humanity. Now part of that moral compass, and the crux of it, is the family. And this is something that I can only touch on because of limited time today. But the crux of it we need to deal with, and that's what I want to touch on. So number one, right now, this is marriage season. Okay, you hear all the invites, people getting married in our community, and this is something blessed. Time of rejoicing. But we also need to understand this time and where we're living in our context. The summer months are the worst when it comes to immorality. And that's our environment. That's what we live in. And we do not have control over that environment. We do not have control over that external environment. The non-Muslims, the disbelievers, whatever you want to call them, the powers that be are in charge of that environment. We can't control it. What we can control is our internal environments, our families, our extended families, that atmosphere and that culture. Now when I say to you, we know in the summertime the most tribulation and trial when it comes to sexual desires and lusts exists during the summer months because of the nakedness on the street. That's the reality that we are living. If we were to think for a moment, what's the Islamic solution to this? And I don't want to say anything yet, I want you to think and answer to yourself in your heart and mind, what do you think the Islamic solution is? I can guarantee that 99% of you have a single answer. This is such a complex problem. And you're thinking one thing, and you're thinking that's the answer. That's not Islam. Islam never comes to a complex problem with a single item and says, oh, that's going to fix it all. It doesn't work like that. Islam, for every single challenge and problem humanity face, comes with a complete package. From A to Z, to fix that issue and solve that problem. That's Islam. And it does it for everything. And morality, and the crux of it, the sexual lust and desires, of course it dealt with that. What's the package? You're all probably thinking marriage, that's it. That was your one-word answer. No. The package starts with every single human being and person knowing that the only fact when we're born is that tomorrow I'm going to stand in front of Allah and be questioned about everything that I did. That worldview is the beginning of the package. And that's what it is, a worldview. A worldview, how you look at everything. Tomorrow I'm going to stand in front of Allah. And there's no secrets, nothing hidden. Everything exposed. From my outer self, no clothes. To my inner self, my heart and everything that it committed. Because it's the leader and the limbs are just its army. That's the beginning of the package. The What else? Every individual, therefore, is meant to be nurtured upon taqwa of Allah, consciousness of Allah. Something that we go through the training in Ramadan, and we're meant to go through that training in this period of time as well, being conscious of Allah, and in every aspect of our lives. Not just when we're in the masjid, not just when we're in the home, when we're at business, when we're mixing with people, when we're by ourselves even. Every moment involves that consciousness, that taqwa of Allah. That's part of the package. Part of the package is also that commandment that Allah has given the believing men and believing women. Say to the believing men, what? Lower their gazes and protect their chastity. That's pure for them. It's all part and parcel of the package. Then when it comes to the women, the same thing, but more. But more. And we need to stop on this for a moment. وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ وَيَحْفَظْنَ فُرُوجَهُنَّ. The same statement first. Lower their gaze, guard their chastity, more important for the women. And then the extra orders for the women. Why? Not as a punishment, not as something to cause them difficulty, but rather to teach humanity that the guardians of morality in every civilization are not the men. The guardians of morality in any society are the women. They are the women. That's why Allah said in these verses that to go through would spend too much time. Just to summarize, after the statement, Allah tells them not to expose their beauty except that which is necessary. And that means either just the eyes to see or the face and hands. Nothing other than that. This is Islam. One of these two opinions, nothing else. Then Allah goes further. وَلْيَضْرِبْنَ بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى جُنُوبِهِنَّ. Then let them cast their headscarves over their chests. The exact thing that society is telling women right now. If you want to appear beautiful, you have to show a certain amount of cleavage, and the more beautiful you are told you are. That's what fashion tells women. Allah said no. To guard the purity of society, completely the opposite. Cover all of that. And then Allah goes even further. After telling them who they're allowed to not wear hijab in front of, Allah says to them, وَلَا يَضْرِبْنَ بِأَرْجُلِهِنَّ لِيُعْلَمَ مَا يُخْفِينَ مِنْ زِينَتِهِنَّ. Don't draw attraction to yourselves and attention to yourselves, O women. Not even by a simple thing like banging your feet on the ground to draw attention. Let alone anything else. Why? Because we are the guardians of the morality of a society. You look how this was used against us. So this is part of a huge, massive package to cause the society to be pure. And why is this so influential and so important? This, our morality, gives us power over everyone. You know, when the Muslims established themselves in Al-Madinah, and they became the force to be reckoned with over the whole of the Arab Peninsula and even the world. When the enemies of Islam realized they could not defeat Muslims because of their unity and strength, they would never be able to beat them militarily. You know what they did? They employed the hypocrites to do what? To spread blemish and bring blemish on the character and morality of the Prophet ﷺ. They accuse him of always being after the wife of Zayd, radiallahu ta'ala. They accuse him of that, and then Allah sent verses in Surah Al-Ahzab to clarify, no, this was a command from Allah. This was apart from the munafiqeen. That was quashed. They didn't stop there. They started creating disunity amongst the Muslims. In the battle of Mustaliq, in that battle itself, there was an argument between the Muhajirin and the Ansar, causing disunity amongst them. That was part of the Munafiqeen's plan. Then that was quashed. Then what did they do after that? They came to attack the morality of the Prophet again, accusing his wife, his most beloved wife, Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, of illicit relationships. And then Allah sent verses in Surah An-Nur to clear her name and to set rules and guidance for the morality of our community. And because of that, when they brought all the Confederates, Al-Ahzab, when they came, they were defeated. There was no way to penetrate the Muslim Ummah because we were unified with our morality. Our morality makes us the civilization, the superpower of the world. When we lost it, then we ended up in the situation we are in right now. And how we lost it was planned. It wasn't one of our plans that we make a year in advance. 5 years in advance if we're really clever. This was perhaps 100 years of the making or more. What was it? It was the colonial project that savagely ravaged our Muslim lands, the Indian subcontinent, the Arab world. That's what they did. And what was the plan behind it? Go and have a look. Researching history, you find out, they said the way we defeat these people is to take their women folk out of their homes and put them on display in the streets. When we do this, we will destroy them internally. Then we won't have to fight hard against them to take over. And that's exactly what happened. And it's happening again. And the colonial project hasn't stopped, nor is it ever going to stop. It's the same. History comes back. And this is a very clever plot. What did Allah say? Allah said, oh, believing men and believing women, help each other in all of this morality. In fact, the Prophet made it so clear. When he said, إِنَّ لِكُلِّ دِينٍ خُلُقًا. Every religion has a distinguishing feature. And then the Prophet said that the khuluq of Islam is al-haya, is modesty, morality. The center of and crux of all morality, shame. And the Prophet said, إِذَا لَمْ تَسْتَحِي فَاصْنَعْ مَا شِئْتَ. If you have no shame, do as you please. Don't you see the outside? Don't you see it? That's what you see. It's only going to get worse. And we know everything that's going on. Right, are we part of the solution or are we part of the problem? Remember, when you see these slogans, these airy-fairy slogans that sound so good, be free to say and express yourself and do as you please, etc. We should be looking, whether it's aimed at men or women, we should be looking. And especially, my sisters expect to be targeted. Because you're the guardians of morality. You're actually the guardians, and think about this so carefully and very, very, very specifically. You are the guardians of having a strong ummah or having a weak one. You, not the man. It's that central. So of course you're going to be targeted. What are they going to say to you? Oh, you need to live like this and you're oppressed and the rest of it. Because of Islam's structure and institutions and laws. But the reality is completely the opposite. If you want to see it, just actually open your eyes. You know, this project of liberalization and everyone being concerned with themselves and no restrictions. This is very recent. Since the 50s, if that. And look at where it's led. Look around you. A society that we live in with hardly any morality left. A society that we live in full of broken homes. And the children that come from those broken homes, what happens to them? They're involved in drugs. They're involved in killing. There's no value for life or property or anyone. There's no relationships left. People are suffering in misery, economically, emotionally, psychologically, and you can think of mankind. I'll say it again, you'll find more misery in our time than any other time in humanity. Because we've lost our morals. And we live for ourselves. That's the reality. So look at the slogans that are being thrown in your face. This is the result. Whereas, look what Islam and its rules and institutions do. It brings about a people who rule the world with justice, where people are happy, where people look after each other and care, not because of money and wealth, because that's the right thing to do. So let us wake up. And I'm going to conclude on a few points in how to be the solution and not part of the problem. Walhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulullah amma ba'd. At the crux of this is the family unit. Now what does that mean? Practical examples. Allah has given the authority to the parents over their children and has obligated upon them their care, their nurturing. And also over the girls, the father has been given wilaya, guardianship, and he has to approve marriages. Not so he can abuse that trust. The other day I had 4 cases, one after the other, where women were coming, they wanted to marry and live a pure life. They wanted to fulfill their desires in a pure way, the way Allah wants. And the fathers, in the majority of these 4 cases, were preventing them from good marriages for no good reason. And the reason underlying why they were saying no was basically money, status, that's it. This is un-Islamic, haram. What's the result of this? If your child comes to you and says, I need to marry, and then you have the ability to facilitate marriage for that child of yours, and then you do not, you know what's going to happen? Human beings cannot control this desire. If you don't give them the halal outlet, they will fall into haram. Then you will come Yawm al-Qiyamah. We will come as parents. We will see in front of us haram. Allah said, you did this. We will say, no, I didn't do this. Nothing to do with me. No, but your child did this, and you had the ability to prevent it, and you didn't. So you shoulder the pain. It's yours. That's the reality. That is the hardcore reality. That's what's happening. You know, kids out there, they're delaying their marriages, what's happening? Their boyfriends and girlfriends rampant, listening schools, forget anything else. That's what's going on. Because we delay marriages. And we look for the wrong things. And this needs a whole section by itself, a whole khutbah just on this. And so we will deal with it. But this is the crux of it. Brothers and sisters who are looking to get married, who are still young, and you have your parents, take this one note, because I don't have time to go into detail. A given, a known, something that doesn't need evidencing in Islam. You will never taste bliss in your life until your parents are happy with you. I do not have to mention a verse or a hadith or anything. This is a given. This is a known, by necessity. You will never taste bliss in your life until your parents are happy with you. No spouse, husband or wife, is anything compared to your parents. Nothing. So don't make the satanic mistake of allowing someone who comes into your life as a spouse to take priority over your parents. Secondly, if you, and this is to the young, you want to get married, you're serious, prove yourself. If you're a boy who wants to get married, remember I said boy, because you have to prove yourself as a man yet. How do you prove yourself as a man? Start earning. Start bringing in the money. Start looking after the household. Show that you're kind. Show that you're generous. Show that you're responsible. Prove yourself. And very you seriously, and the world at large, because you want to take someone's daughter, you prove yourself. Sisters, if you're serious about getting married, then prove yourselves in the home. Every husband wants someone who's going to care for them, look after them, be good to his parents, be good to the family. Prove yourself. Take part in the housework, take part of these things. Then you prove yourself. Everyone takes you seriously. And sisters, remember your husbands are facing a more difficult time on the street now. This is not to have a go at you, my sisters. This is so that we build a pure society internally. If you know that your husband, when you walk out the street, you see Jahannam in front of you, as men. Women who are dressed naked, the like of which the Prophet said, I have not seen from the people of the hellfire. We're seeing that in the street. As soon as you walk out, in the summer months more than any other time. But constant. What's it mean, my sisters? Take that into account and know that you want a pure family structure and institution. Then make yourself look better in these months than you ever look at home. Be available for your husbands more so than any other time. And husbands, help your wives to do this so you have pure families by giving them time and opportunity to dress up, to take care of themselves. Let's work together and not against each other. You know, one of the greatest ways that we have been duped in our family lives, out there they're telling us, men and women, we need to fight against each other. We've been told that and we've fallen for it. And we've lost the Islamic tradition that Allah ordered us with. The believing men and believing women are nothing other than protectors and supporters of one another. May Allah give us tawfiq to understand, especially in these blessed 10 days. All of this is part of our ibadah. Because in Islam, our ibadah is not limited to actions in the mosque or actions of dhikr or recitation. It is a complete package, a complete way of life. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين وذل الشرك والمشركين ودمر أعداء الدين يا قوي يا عزيز يا جبار يا متين. سبحان ربك